Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and today we're going to do a fan Q&A session, and we're going to talk about the World Cup final because obviously we didn't get to chat since that World Cup final took place. And I think we can get straight into today's show. There's a lot of things to talk about on today's show, and it's my chance to read out your comments and also answer the questions if you have any. But mainly for me to interact with your comments in your live chat and see what you guys have to say. But before we get going, before we get started, there's just one thing that I please need you guys to do, and that is download Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. We have the edition that is currently out is Understanding BMT and Big Match Temperament. You can kind of match up the stories with what you saw from Australia in this particular semi-final and in the final, and see if any of it remains true to what was said in this particular in this particular issue of the magazine. You guys can do so by downloading it right now. Every issue is 100% free straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description, so go get your copy right away. And without further ado, guys, let's get straight into today's video. I am looking forward to discussing things with you and talking to you guys about everything that happened in the final, and also just finding out what you guys would like to ask me regarding this particular show. So let's get straight into it. Good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show, your Q&A session. I'm your host, Khalid Moedin. And this is the show where I get to answer all of your questions and we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. Now, first and foremost, guys, if you are new to the channel and this is the first time that you have joined us, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to do that. So let's get straight into it. As we know, South Africa were not in the final, of course, after losing to Australia. And we got to see something historic from an Australian point of view. Once again, crowned champions for the first time for 6 times in a row. Well, not in a row, but they've won it 6 times now. And I just thought that maybe there's an article that I should put out there specifically talking about Australia on my take on what I think about this particular team. So I'm going to share the article with you and read it out with you, just to give you guys some insight into what my thoughts are and what I think about this particular victory and what actually won them this World Cup. Australia's winning mindset, a blueprint for success in cricket, is my title. Australia's triumph in the World Cup wasn't just a team accomplishment. It was a reflection of the winning mindset deeply ingrained in each individual player's game plan. Securing their sixth World Cup title, they achieved the extraordinary by defeating the unbeaten host nation, India, in a thrilling final. The journey to victory was not without its challenge. Australia faced two significant defeats early in the tournament, one against the Proteas and another against India. Despite these setbacks, they turned the tables when it mattered most, dominating both teams in the semi final and the final, respectively. The essence of Australia's success wasn't solely dependent on an unbroken winning streak, but rather on their unyielding mentality. Even in the midst of some of the shaky performances, they maintained an unwavering belief in their ability to overcome obstacles and lift the trophy. Contrastingly, India, who had dominated every game leading up to the final, succumbed to the pressure when it mattered most. The tournament's favourites failed to clinch the victory in the ultimate showdown, emphasizing that form alone does not guarantee success and on the grand stage. Sorry. In this World Cup, the decisive factor was mentality. What set Australia apart was individual players' commitment to the team ethos. Their winning mentality wasn't mere collective spirit, it was deeply ingrained philosophy in each player. I'm going to explain that a little bit now. Throughout the tournament, there were instances where a single player stepped up, defying the odds and securing victory when the team faced adversity. This ability to handle pressure and deliver in crucial moments was a testament to the mental fortitude of the Australian squad. In building World Cup winning team, the significance of players' track record in winning games cannot be overstated. Australia's success wasn't just a stroke of luck; it was a result of meticulous selection process that prioritized players with a proven ability to perform under pressure. This approach proved instrumental in their journey to lifting the coveted trophy. In conclusion, Australia's World Cup victory served as a blueprint for success in cricket. It underscores the importance of a winning mindset, not just as a team ethos, but as a fundamental aspect of each player's game plan. As other teams aspire to emulate Australia's success, they would do well to recognize the value of mental resilience and an unwavering belief in one's ability as crucial elements in the pursuit of cricketing glory. So that's an article that I wrote on cricketfanaticsmag.com. Um, what I'm trying to mainly focus on over there is the fact that there's one thing having a team environment and a team ethos that stats of a winning mentality. But I think what made Australia so spectacular is that that mentality is ingrained in each individual player. We saw that throughout this tournament, when the team as a collective wasn't doing as well, there was always one or two players that stepped up and took them over the line. This is something that I think that is very important when we have to look at this. So what I really enjoyed about this particular wins was that Australia, even though they lost to both teams at the beginning of this tournament, the interesting thing is that they got them in the semis and in the final again, and they managed to get over that hurdle. Didn't show any nerves against these two teams that dominated them early in the tournament, and ended up winning quite convincingly. Now, I'm asking the question: did India choke? Because everybody spoke about them as favorites. They were playing in favorable conditions. They were had the crowd behind them. And when you spoke to anybody ahead of this particular tournament, majority of people put themselves, um, put India as the team to win this particular tournament. And that's something that I think that we shouldn't take lightly at all. Because I mean, a lot of people say that South Africa choked, but I don't think they choked in this particular semi-final. Um, I don't think they choked because they were against it from the get-go. I think choking is something when people expect you to do something, or when you're in a position of strength and you're in a position to win, then you throw it away, or you do something that maybe loses you the game, that shows you caving under pressure. So we were away from out of the game from the start, like Rob said. India, however, put themselves in very good positions. Rohit Sharma was on 40 odd. He went out before his 50. Kohli got himself into the 50s, but then lost his wicket when the team needed him. KL Rahul did really well, but then lost his wicket when the team needed him. And the rest of the team just basically crumbled around him. Didn't know how to switch it on or recover from the downfall when their main guys weren't performing. Then with the ball, they did okay, but didn't manage to utilize their spinners like they did throughout the tournament. Um, there was something. Um, there's something that I thought would be in their favor was the fact that they're playing in their home conditions. I thought that they really would have been in a situation to give trouble. It's crazy that Australia has gone over there and managed to beat them quite convincingly. I don't know if it's a complete choke though. Um, when I've seen this going around on social media that India choked. I don't know if it's a complete choke really, or it was just they didn't turn up on the day. I don't know what it was, but I think there's a lot of people that probably were disappointed in the way India played in this final. I think we would have all liked to see both teams at their utmost best and a full-on fight, like the semi-final between, like the final of last World Cup, where both New Zealand and England gave it their absolute all. It was a great final to witness, but India was completely dominated kind of in this game. They didn't post a big enough total, and yeah, and their bowlers weren't clinical enough to take enough wickets to give Australia enough trouble. And then once again, Travis Head steps up. There's a player that takes the responsibility in Australia's team, and there's been like this in a couple of games throughout the tournament where somebody took responsibility, stepped up, and and then went for it. So I think that is something that is really incredible from that perspective. Let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have had to say. Um, Kani says India is the ultimate chokers. Um, Comments before the final. We are going to silence the big crowd. Pavuma before the semi-finals. We are nervous. With this mentality, we will never ever win the World Cup, says Kani. Khalid, you praised all about Marco's mentality. What is this? Guy played like a club cricket in the last two games. Um, yeah, I still believe that he does have a strong mentality. And it's his first ever World Cup. The nerves were there, and he succumbed to that. It's something that he is obviously going to have to improve. I said that he has a great mentality for a youngster at his age. And when I was speaking about it, it was at a time, it was in the beginning of his career when he just broke through. There's naturally going to be nerves and a certain bit of things that he can still improve on. He's still young, and there's a lot for him to improve on. So I think we can be a little bit more lenient with regards to him. I think that this particular World Cup would have taught him a hell of a lot. And I think the next time we see him playing in the World Cup, he won't be as nervous as he was in this particular um, World Cup. Was other, and we also need to commend him for the rest of the tournament, for the amount of pressure that was put on him in his first World Cup to be the opening bowler for his country, um, and doing a great job at it right through the tournament, maybe until the last two games probably that he played. I think that was brilliant. Um, was I the only Safa supporter supporting Australia? I can't support Australia. The crowd was with SA for the semis, ironically. Yep. The problem with the squad is never played enough red ball cricket. They can't face a swinging ball in then the squad crumbles. And I've been speaking about the importance of red ball cricket for our players, particularly when they play white ball cricket, the importance of that. I've been speaking about this for so long. I think we have a couple of shows titled that, the importance of red ball cricket and how it can improve our white ball game and approach. It's something that's so important for our younger players, and that's why I'm so happy that the Colts are playing 3-day cricket now, red ball cricket. There's a Colts league. Do have Division 2 and Division 1 with a lot of youngsters in there as well. So we're giving up youngsters opportunity to face that red ball, which I think is so important. Ours is the whole team plays red ball cricket, unlike our SA squad. Cybers is reverse swing. Yeah. What about Marco Jansen's so-called tough mentality? When will squad against India will be announced? I'm not sure when it will be announced because tomorrow we start SAA versus the West Indies A, and Shukri Conrad's in charge of that team. So we'll have to wait and see for that India squad announcement, when that squad will be announced. Cricket SA should emphasize red ball cricket more. Sabir saying yes, SAA versus West Indies A starting tomorrow. Yes, it is. That what Aiden Markram can learn from Marnus innings yesterday. There is sometimes no need to hit boundaries, just rotate the strike, but he throws his wicket away. Burger says in the last four World Cups, both finalists have had attacking openers. It's very true. Problem in SA also that why do 4-day cricket? It should be 5-day test game. SAA squad doesn't have any future looking bowlers, Hardest and Peterson. And Patterson, you mean? Remember that squad was picked with the New Zealand series in mind, And we know that the New Zealand series, there won't be all of the backup or second string bowlers are all playing in the SA 20. So there wasn't really many people to pick from when it comes to the rest of the people that are available. By the way, the announcement was made today that the SA 20 final will be played at Newlands as well. So that's a big thing for Cape Town. Berger in 2011, Shayawak for India, 2015, McCallum for New Zealand, 2019, Roy and Bairstow. This time around, Rohit for India and Ed Warner Marsh for Australia. We must stop playing this outdated brand of cricket while chasing. Sam says SA main problem is that they don't have any attack in the power play, even not in T20s. Then what can we expect for ODIs? That is something that we need to improve on. We need to improve the way we play in the power play. And I think the important thing about the article that I wrote was we need to make sure that we pick players that already have that mentality and have shown signs of that in domestic cricket. So when we look at the domestic circuit, players that have performed under pressure in finals, in cup finals, in semis, and gotten their teams over the line are players that we should be picking because it's almost like that they're used to that scenario. We shouldn't overlook them. Now, if there aren't many of them available, then I can understand you look at the next criteria. But I think one of the main criteria is look at players that have helped in difficult situations to take players over the people over the line. And that's how you go about your business when you pick your squad. Because then the situation would be at least somewhat familiar for them, that type of pressure. Lawrence says CT 25 cycle starts against India in 4 weeks. So I hope to see a few fresh faces making the squad, although I think the core of that team, i.e. Bavuma, RVD, Miller, Riza and Shamsi will remain the same. I don't understand the reason behind backing a 33-year-old Bavuma. Would rather see a young black player like Tony DeZorzi getting the opportunity, says Berger. Sam, I answered that question already. I would suspect to see some major phasing out of players after Champions Trophy 25, giving us 2 years to properly build a team for the Cricket World Cup 27. Um, all those small building blocks would start now already. Thoughts? I would like to see them plan the next 4 years. What I mean by that is we know we're going to need a new opener, bring that opener into the side, allow him to absorb whatever he can absorb from whoever we're going to pick as the next opener. Having that balance of young and old within the squad at all times now, leading up to the Champions Trophy, leading up to the World Cup, is so important. Allow these players to experience and build a team ethos among these players, where they win together, they lose together, they learn together. So I want to see them blooded in slowly and then build up steam as we get along. I think identifying the next generation early is so important because then give them as much international cricket exposure that they can so that the first time they're playing World Cups or the first time they're playing ICC events, we don't have a situation necessarily like we had this time around where we're throwing in a Gerald Coetzee and a Marco Jansen into that pressure environment. Yes, it's a great way to throw someone in the deep end and for them to learn. But you don't want to be hit with that scenario every single time. Imagine if Marco and Gerald had 2 series behind them, 3 series behind them. It would have been a much, I would say it would be a lot better in those scenarios. So when we build up for the future now, I hope that Rob and his team already have an idea of what their team is going to look like or what they would like their team to look like and have slashes behind those names. So, for example, I'm just saying any name here. I'm not saying necessarily that they should play or not play. But for example, if you have someone to replace Quinny and you say, for example, let's say Jordan Herman, and then you say behind Jordan Herman would be Ryan Rickleton or whoever the case may be after him, and have your backups ready to go. So that if there's an injury that forms, you're not still scrapping around looking for players. You know who's the next in line. And I would like them to have that list and line drawn up already and start blooding these players, all of them, into the team. Give them opportunities. Give your first team player and your second team player and your backup chances to play as much games as possible, because you want them to be ready, and you want to be able to test them in an international cricket environment to see if they're ready for the step up. Um, I also don't want us to chop and change all the time and not create some sort of momentum. Um, they need to analyze, they need to pick the right players and then back them for a couple of games and for a while and see how they can start building a winning mentality amongst this team. SA gave a better fight than India did in the final versus Australia. This is why I was impressed with the SA tournament this time. Shishatil. Um, I was back in Australia for the first time. This Australia team seems a bit more humble besides Warner. Burger says, I don't think that we should compare ourselves to the team that has not won an ICC tournament in the last decade. Um, Sam said, even new fielding coach not done his work yet. SA fielding is so poor with easy boundaries, giving missing chances. Why is it not considering better Australian, at least fielding coach? Because the Australians are probably very expensive to get in, to be honest. But I don't know why we haven't flirted with that idea of getting Australian people or Australian coaches into our setup. Neil Governor says SA cricket as a mentality issue. They just don't handle pressure well. 4 semis, 4 defeats. Even if they are a weak mentality, you expect them to triumph at least once by the law of averages. Explanation. While there are different generations and different teams, um, so and I think every single semi-final that we lost, there were different reasons for it. So I don't think we can all put it under one umbrella, but we need to find a way on how to maintain belief in the face of adversity. And we need to find a way on how to grow players' mentality from domestic level as well. The Australians just have this unbelievable self belief, whether they've proven themselves yet or not. They just back themselves 100%, regardless of whatever happens. And I think that's something that we need to learn. Sometimes, to an extent, we're a little bit too humble. And a lot of people will call the Australians arrogant because of the way they carry themselves. And I'm not talking about the players that have won. I'm even talking about the players that haven't won or haven't won World Cups or haven't been part of squads that won World Cups. The Australian players, Australian sports people just have this unbelievable self belief in themselves. They just believe they can do anything. And there's something there that we need to build within us South Africans. Lawrence says both India and South Africa didn't choke against Australia. Both teams were never in the driving seat to get one over the Aussies. Although SA put up a better fight, Australia was still in control of that fixture, says Lawrence. The Springboks have never lost a final, says Sabir. We need to emphasize on red ball cricket. It builds your mentality. Aussies' whole squad plays test. Now SA should focus on playing pressure game, specifically batters like Aiden, Klaasen, and Rassi, says Sam. Saif says Australia win because all 11, same salary, same rights. Interesting point of view. Katil says it's the Australian system, Khalid. It's always about the team and not individual milestones there. They don't have the competing mentality. It's either winning the whole thing or crashing out initially. Sam says moving balls real problem for SA batters. I said this before the World Cup. Coaches should really focus on how can they improve these. The moving ball is a problem for every single team. It's not only South Africa. Yes, it's a problem for South Africa, but it's also a problem for others. We saw a lot of teams struggle with swing when it was on offer. In India's case, they did choke, to be fair, both with pitch preparation, backfiring, and poor fielding and giving extras. Berger says India shifted away from their game plan. From the start of the World Cup, they were playing like England of 2019. But in the last match, it seemed that they took inspiration from Demba and Rassi, says Berger. Safas Safaraz Hussain says no, they just blew it. KL has really lost the game for India with his batting and wicket keeping. Rohit didn't have to play that reckless shot. And we would be a lot harsher on players like Bavuma, Quinton, and our players if they had to lose their wickets in the same way. Neil says India are not chokers, they are two-time world champions who lost a final. SA, on the other hand, are the biggest chokers in world cricket, mentally weak. Recently, the Netherlands have got the mental edge. Chatil says India got spooked when they lost 3 wickets in the first 12 overs. It was then batting out overs somehow instead of throwing punches back. Sabir says all those hundreds for Kohli, but no silverware in the past 10 years. It's crazy, eh? 50, 50 ODI centuries. Mad. Kani says Enoch said that they are not going to rebuild the side. He expects majority of these players to play in the 2027 World Cup. At least the Safa got to hold the trophy. There is a super chat here from Neil or super sticker from Neil Governor. Thanks a lot, Neil, for that super sticker. That I really, really appreciate it. All of that really helps the channel. So thanks so much for your support. Um, Let me just continue. Where was I? Neil saying terrible argument. A final can be won or lost on any given day, especially when our opposition is almost evenly matched. This is not a pattern with India, unlike with SA. But whether a team choked or not has got nothing to do with the history. It's got to do with that moment. Hope Rivers will be backing by coaches in squad because India going to play their B team in T20s. Kani says this guy is overrated. This guy is the overrated player. Those Indian commentators say that he is better than De Villiers. Wow. It's very difficult to say someone's better than someone that has already completed their career. When the other person has like is mid career. Um, yeah, it's something that we all do actually. In fact, Sky is not even better than Maxwell, says Dex. Kani says, "What about the availability of Nokia for the India series? I think he'll be available." BG3 says, "Certainly India did choke. SA last choked in 2011 World Cup. In this World Cup, SA shown great fight in semi. Small selection issue would not be there. SA would have been in the final," says BG3. Sam says, "I still not know why SA selected players who is struggling with his fitness. Poor Lungi and Shamji belly fat. They should not select them unless they lose." Okay, BG3 says SA require 3 different captains in 3 format. Kani says hardly the reason for our loss is our approach in the power play. We were timid. Look how Australia played yesterday. They attacked even though they lost wickets. And that's been Australia's mantra throughout the tournament. And it actually got them in trouble a lot throughout this tournament. Um, it got them in trouble to a certain point, but then they had someone to bail them out. They always had someone to bail them out in games. And that's great to have, that your team has that fearless approach, but they also believe that they have the players to come in and turn a game and win it for them. Glenn Maxwell did it twice in this tournament, where he saved the team from a possible defeat. I mean, yeah, they always manage to do it. They always manage to get themselves out of trouble. A player gets them out of trouble, and that's because that winning mentality is not just about the way the team is as a unit. I don't believe. I believe that they have individually, those players also have an amazing self belief and winning mentality, and that's why if you have a team of 11 that have that type of strong self belief and mentality, you're not going to lose a lot of games. Ishanichak last year got it out of the current players. They fought tooth and nail in the WT, I mean, in the World T20, 2021, and this year. Those are good signs to build on. It's about continuing on that now. Burbix is Khalid and others who has impressed you the most in the SA domestic season so far. Well, the domestic season hasn't really been that long right now, but with regards to the one days, because we finished the one day tournament, um, from the I think Mapungwana really impressed me so far. I think Nandre Berger has really impressed me so far from Western Province. I think that we need to still see more 4 day games for us to really see. I think a little bit more of the season needs to go along for us to really say. Um, I know I'm saying a lot of Western Province players, but they were by far the best team in the One Day Cup. They won all their games. So and they had very dominating wins throughout. Deva Brevis has really impressed me as well. The way he's starting to adapt to senior cricket. I think he's starting to find his rhythm and starting to find himself. So I think he's been impressive. I think Leseko, Lesejo Senokwane as well. Um, there has been a couple of players that have stepped up, um, that I think have been decent decent throughout the One Day Cup at least. So yeah, it's something we need to keep an eye on because we only finished like the first round, I think, of second round of 4 day games. Um, we're gonna have to wait and see how the tournament progresses, how this 4 day competition progresses, etc. But definitely Nandre impressed me. I think Morena van Tonde had a good 1 day season. Deelvat has impressed me. Um, so far, those are the guys that I think we can look at and say, well done. Um, based on the 1 day cup at least. I think the 4 day, like I said, the 4 days has still yet got into the major into the major section of the tournament already. Calverain hasn't been bad. He was very good in the 1 day cup this year so far. I think Mikhail Prince put in the show was quite impressive. Obviously needs to get a little bit more experience, a little bit more rhythm going and consistency. When it comes to the 4 day division so far, like I said, there hasn't really been many games for us to talk about. There's only been two games so far. Bjorn was really good this time around against Western Province, and Vian Mulder was really good against Western Province as well. I think the two of them really impressed me. Um, we haven't really seen dominating performances by batters specifically, although Dean Alga's running away um, at the top of the run scoring charts at the moment with 300 already in 2 games. Jordan Herman is picking up where he left off. Michal Pretorius was pretty decent with a bat, which is impressive in the 4 day competition. So yeah, those are some of the players that have impressed me so far this season. Marco needs to change his mentality because he's the guy. SA need to make sure he's fit. SA cricket needs Bok mentality that just know how to win, outplayed, outgunned, whether it's ugly or dirty, they win. Whether the crowd is against them, it doesn't matter. The most successful rugby team. But in rugby, it's a lot easier to do something like that. You know, the way you fight, you can physically, you can do something to change the momentum of a game. In cricket, when you're batting or bowling, it's very hard to allow something like brute force to or smashing someone to get you spirits up. You kind of have to, maybe a good stop in the field or something like that inspires the team. But it's tough to do that in cricket. You need to actually come into the game already with that type of mentality, with that mentality. But we need to learn how to, when we do have major, when we do have some, for example, what we need to learn how to do, for example, against Australia, David Miller was a set batter on the road to 100. More people should have been inspired by that and stuck out there with him, even if they had to grind to survive, to just make sure that they can stay with him so that he can go on to score more runs. We need to get that, you're right, that dog fight in us. And to think smarter on the field, because when David Miller's at the crease and he's nearing 100, he should be facing majority of the balls, farming the strike, saying, "This is my game. I'm taking this away." Look at what Glenn Maxwell did in that one game against Afghanistan. This is my time. I'm going to take majority of facing majority of the ball, takes control of the match, and then goes and does what he does. And I want to see that more from our players. Waka says now we need to give more opportunities to young talented players in both red and white ball if we want to win ICC tournaments. 2027 vision. Chatil says Cummins got rid of hands on Justin Langer and got McDonald. They knew what they wanted from a coach and support staff. They didn't want to be micromanaged. Players run the show in Australia, says Chatil. Sabir says Manos refused to open up even when they already won. It's just, you know, that's what we need to learn. There are so many factors that we can learn from Australia. Kari says it looks like Temba is going to be captain in the 2027 World Cup. No rebuilding. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. Khalid, who's going to be in the ODI squad to replace Kwani, who can play attacking cricket? A lot of South Africa's openers. So if you look over the last 5 years, a lot of our openers bat a little bit more within themselves. They bat deep. I haven't yet seen many openers that come in and try to go. I think the only player that has really shown that intent has been Jefferson Prile and Deva Brevis in matches that I've seen with regards to List A cricket and T20 cricket within our setup. A lot of our players take their time to get in and then smash as they face more balls. So it is something, a mentality shift that has been communicated with all the provinces about the way Rob wants to play his cricket and the way Shukri Kande wants to play his cricket. So it is something that we are trying to instill within our domestic setup so that we can improve this in the future. Lorenzo says the fact that the next World Cup will be in SA 10-1 means no one apart from Quinton de Kock will retire from white ball cricket soon. Players like Markram, Miller, Klaas, and KG, in my opinion, must be there in 2027. I like that group of players that you've mentioned, and I agree with you. Khalid, Coach Rob is still back in Timber. What do you think about this? It's a reset for Timber for me. Based on his performances at home, leading up to the World Cup, he was in incredible form, and I couldn't say anything about the selection because he deserved it. But now, with 4 years till the next World Cup, there needs to be a drastic um, change in his. I wouldn't say change, but I would like to see how he does overseas in overseas series and whether he can maintain this form and it wasn't just a fluke. I see a lot of people want to say use numbers to prove their agenda against Demba by saying he's played in 3 ICC events and he's performed poorly in all three. He's only played one ODI, 1 day ODI ICC event. I almost don't count the T20s because I don't believe that he should be in that T20 side. I don't think his game is suited for the T20 game um, as an opening batsman in the modern era. So I almost don't count that um, because every single time I've seen him try to go and attack, majority of the time he's lost his wicket. And that is a major concern for me. And it's something that he needs to sort out. I do believe that his captaincy is good. I still stand by that. I think he's a good captain, and I think the way he brings the team together is brilliant. And I do think that his experience now and what he's experienced will teach a lot of the youngsters that are coming through a lot of things. But now that we've lost Quinton de Kock, I don't know who's going to be able to replace Quinton and the experience that Quinton has and the ability that Quinton has. I don't believe that Timber can play the same game as Quinny, um, where Quinny came out and just completely dominated the opposition in an attacking manner that the way he did. I feel that Pavuma is the type of batter that bats more like Rassi, where he gets his eye in and he goes deep and then will score his runs. Even though I've seen flashes of him do the attacking way, he needs to learn how to when to do it and when to attack and when not to. When is it one shot too many? So it would be risky to just take Pavuma out and then put two young openers in because they aren't necessarily youngsters that are complete straight replacements for Quinton de Kock. So it's going to be a very difficult decision that the coaching staff will have to make. And I think that they need to use this India series now as an opportunity to try and give guys a, in key positions a chance to show how they can approach international cricket. I think that after this India series, we can start to see what the vision is. I think I first have to understand what the vision is going into the next World Cup, and then we can probably make a concise decision on what I think. Another super chat from Neil Govender. Thanks so much, bro, for the support. SABC headline Pavuma oblivious of criticism against him. I don't think that that's true. I think he knows the criticism against him. I think he 100% knows what's been said about him. Chatil says Warner spoke to ABD on YouTube. He said they wanted fielding to be elite ahead of the semi-final as it reflected an Aussie team's attitude. And that's something that's important to maintain the levels in the team and the spirit in the team. Hard in your opinion, should SN need to find his number 7 all-rounder marker could be 8? I really like the thought of having Donovan Ferreira amongst this team. I think this guy is ready for international cricket, in my opinion. Um, but I think he needs time though. Like it's not someone that I think that will come in and necessarily blow the smoke out, blow everything out of the water. Like I don't think he's just going to be some type of player that's going to just run with it. I think he has the confidence to do it, and he'll definitely I'll try and probably get it right in a couple of games. But I think that guy has the right mentality for international cricket, and I think we should need to give him a chance. I think we need to blood Tristan Stubbs in. I mean, I could even see Tristan Stubbs batting a little higher up in ODI cricket, for example, at 3 or 4. Um, I wouldn't be against seeing Aiden as an opener, to be honest with you. I know I don't want to take him away from that number 4 position, but I know Aiden as an opener my whole life. I know him as an opener. I'm watching him play for the Titans and play for Ace under 19 and etc. So I like Aiden as an opener. I think he'll be great in the power play. Um, and then you can blood in some youngsters like because then it opens up your chances of playing in a very attacking side. If you have Aiden opening and then choose Bavuma, Riza, or another youngster, it's up to South Africa what they want to do there. Then at 3 you have a youngster like Deerwald, for example, and then at 4 you have a youngster like Stubbsy, and then at 5 you got Klaas, and then 6 you got um, David Miller. Then at 7 you can have someone like Donovan, and then 8 you have Marco Jansen. 9 you've got Gerald. You're gonna run out of positions, 10 you got KG and then a spinner. Um, what about Anrik Nokia? He comes back into the side. So there's a lot to think about when constructing this team. But you can have Donovan on standby for David Miller, learning from him, etc. In certain games, play them together. You can shuffle them around because I think that having a team like that is quite attacking and they all have the right mentality. Throw them into the mix now and let them start building to the World Cup, learning together, losing together, and winning together. I think that's ultimately, and losing together, that's all important. Um, no, I don't want to Kutsia to be dropped from any squad. He is an all format player. It's very possible for Gerald Kutsia to be able to. I mean, for Marco Jansen to play himself into that or grow as a number 7 coach, as a number 7 for the future. Harley Bavuma and Walter's post World Cup interview sound like we won the World Cup. I don't know why they were so happy with the campaign. This was not a successful World Cup at all for us, says Dex. Saif says Australia proves again and again power play like power hitting. India also prove. Mikhlale Mapugwana, is he good? I definitely do think he's really good. I do think there's a lot that he needs to develop in his game, but I think that he's a brave cricketer. I think he's a powerful cricketer. He just needs to work a little bit more on his bowling, bowl a lot more because he's been injured a lot and he hasn't bowled as much. But his bowling aspect he can improve on. But when he comes out to the middle, he's a brave cricketer, and I think he has a lot of talent. And he's still young, so he's a lot of room to grow. Chatils' performing experience win World Cups hard. It has been the case literally throughout World Cup history. Most of these teams' average age is 30. Why we don't have a player like Head, says Tex. PG3, make a player as captain who earned the position in the team. No need to carry any player just for the captaincy. I don't think that happened with Timba. Timba averaged like his average. I know it was only in South Africa, majority of his games, but so was a lot of the team players. South Africa played majority of the games in South Africa. Um, we can't really like use that against the player. It's not their fault that they're only playing in South Africa ultimately. We need to get more tours going. Chatil says WT20s are won by young men. ODI World Cups are won by older men, says Chatil. And that's why I say So think about this. That's why I say for the next 4 years, you build a team. If you play a youngster now, by the 2027 World Cup, they will be older. They'll be in the late 20s, early 30s. So we need to grow those players now. Your Tony DeZorzis, your Calvarainers, your David Beddingham's, your um, I would, and Devat is maybe too young for that category, but your Donovan Ferreira's, your Tristan Stubbs's, your Jordan Hermans, your Matthew Brietzky's, all the guys that have shown that attitude of fighting spirit, mentality of winners, etc. Those are the players you grow. By the time they hit the World Cup, they'll be in their peak. Lawrence Bailey says Riza will most probably be the ODI opener in the short term for SA, but who are you personally identifying to take over that spot? In my opinion, Rickleton is the closest to Quinny we have at the moment, attacking and wicket keeper. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of that. Um, Mikhail Prince has a lot of potential, but he's weight, I think, maybe too young for that. He needs to show a little bit more consistency going forward. He plays the game a lot like Winnie, actually, um, in his mentality and the way he wants to attack the ball. We're going to have to do a lot of digging and finding out about this. Because, like I said, in this one day cup now, the openers that have played, and you look at the openers and their performances throughout this tournament, um, Brevis opened and batted at 3, strike rate of 97, 53 average, 200s and a 50. So he's really came firing in this tournament. Donovan Ferreira obviously bats lower down the order. Calvaraina bats a little lower down in the order. Tony DeZorzi, opener for the Western Province, 319, 53 average, strike rate of 116. That's someone that we should invest in at the moment. Give him an opportunity. Mikael Prince is not far behind him with regards to runs scored. Played one extra game though. Average 39, 100, 150, and strike rate of 100. But that 116 strike rate of Tony DeZorzi is something to look at. Um, Another opener would be Aseko Senakwani. Not consistent enough though. 8 games, 275 runs. Strike rate is 83. One of the lowest strike rates from an opener in this so far. 100, 150. David Bellingham came in at 3, but his strike rate was over 135. That's another person that we should maybe look at as a number 3 replacement for Rassi van der Dussen down the line. That could be an option, is David Bellingham. Janneman's, Janneman was played 7 games, scored 218 runs, at 250s, and his strike rate is 69.42. So that's a concern. When it comes to Ryan Rickleton, 7 games, 260 runs, didn't have the best of tournaments, 250s, strike rate of 88, average of 43. Josh Richards, 209, strike rate of 81, 34. So they all our openers are playing with that type of building an innings type of mentality. So Tony DeZorzio would probably be a good option as an opener, I think, to give him an opportunity, because he's batting at a crazy strike rate. He didn't always come off, but um, he needs to he just needs to play more cricket. These guys need to play more cricket. Um, yeah. Test champion trophy are won by middle-aged men. Brevis is an attacking opener. Don't change his mentality, says BG3. Prepare him for the bigger stage. He can bowl well. Stop him playing so too many T20 cricket. Select him in test. Be one or Shawag. My advice to Devat would be to play 4-day cricket, to play more games, to play more of the longer format, to improve his game, to play less T20 cricket. It's difficult because he's a household name at the moment with regards to T20. He hasn't maybe always performed in every tournament he's played, but the guys are known all around the world. Every league wants a piece of him. So it's very hard for him to turn that down as a youngster when he can have an opportunity to make that bucks. Um, can Ricketson strike like Quinny? Based on the evidence, not really, you know, based on the evidence, at least this particular side. As much as I love Riza, but Riza won't be there in 2027. I'd start phasing Riza out after the Champions Trophy 25 and maybe get Brevis in there. Bone towards the World Cup 2015, 2027. Sorry, Brevis, Rickleton, RVD, Markram, Klaassen, MJ, Marco Jansen, RVD, Rassie van der Dussen. Who's RVD? Oh, Rassie van der Dussen. Oh, yeah, okay, Markram, Klaassen, and MJ. TDZ to rotate with RVD for the 3 spot. Is Vuma going to be dropped? We have no clue. Blazen, Kola, Bavuma out. Oh, sorry, Blazing Kola. What am I? I'm like coming up with my own language here. Would love to see Stubbs get some game in ODIs. Brevis should open with Riza. I mean, still got Jordan Herman, Matthew Brzezinski. Those guys are also guys that we need to look at. Um, although Matthew Brzezinski didn't have the best of tournaments this time around um, in the One Day Cup. Jordan Herman as well didn't have the best of tournaments so far in the One Day Cup. The Warriors didn't really have a great campaign so in the One Day Cup. So throughout, those players at least didn't have the greatest of times. Yes, Reason Sam says yes. Reason now should not be in ODI squad because his stats also not so good as well as not in World Cup 2027 plan. Burbick says, does Brevis open for the Titans? He started the tournament opening for the Titans and then he batted at 3, if I'm not mistaken. Um, I know he opened in T20 cricket for them. Let me just double check this. I know he played his first game. I remember watching him opening. So his first game against Boland, he opened the batting, scored 31, but his strike rate was 114. That strike rate is so important now, guys, going forward. We need to start talking about it again. Then in the second game against the Warriors, he opened again, but he only got a 7. Then against the Dolphins, he came and he batted and he opened again and he went out for a duck. So that was his first 3 games as an opener for the Titans. Then they played him at 3 against Northwest, who were in the final. In the end, we ended up in the final. Am I correct here in saying this? I think I am. Yeah, he came in at 3. They played him at 3, and then he ended up hitting 100. So then he played against Kaiser in England. Flippin' unbelievable, really. Came in at 3 against Kaiser in England, and he scored 94 at the strike rate of 111. And then he played against Western Province, who won that ended up winning the tournament against a very good bowling attack. And he batted again at 3 and scored 116. So even though he started the tournament as an opener, he finished it as the number 3. So what are we going to make of that? Um, Almost scoring 3 centuries in a row. So maybe I would like him at 3. I mean, that's his most natural position. Um, that's why I'm saying Tony opened in this tournament. He wasn't very consistent throughout the tournament. Scored a massive 100 though. That was really entertaining to watch at Newlands. So yeah, me Devat is the next number 3 for South Africa. In That's my opinion. You guys can agree or not agree, but I think that the way the player bats, the way he thinks, his mentality, the way his attacking mentality, we need a player like that to really be blooded into the side amongst older, more experienced guys. Um, and I think someone like Rassi would be a great guide for him, not by the way Rassi plays, more of the human being that Rassi is and his mental toughness that he has and his ability to be able to speak tactics, speak about the game. I think having Dewald around him, Dewald can really learn a lot from him, as well as from Aiden, as well as from Miller and Klaassen. Lorenzo says it's also important that the psychologist employed permanently. No point in only having him for ICC events. We have 2 ICC events before Cricket World Cup 2027. Continuity is important. Sam says, I don't think Bavuma will be dropped under Rob Walter. He is doing next voucher things. Both love Bavuma, never going to be dropped. But there's a reason for that, guys. There's a reason for why people back Bavuma. Not only the players, the coaches, across teams. I mean, while we're obsessed with the idea of a choke seems like lazy analysis, my new ODI team, Brevis, Riza, Markram, Stubbs, Klaassen, Muller, Janssen, Don, Maharaj, Kutsia, Rabada. No Nokia. Burbik says Bavuma has a very good ODI record. Don't see why he wouldn't be in the picture for the near future. BG3, what India did is should be called as choking. Perfect example of choking 11 ICC knockout in last 10 years. That what else would you call choking? Says BG3. Lorenzo says I'm the only one that can't wait for the test series versus. Am I the only one that can't wait for the test series? I'm over white ball cricketer. Retire was a proper cricketer. But that's my guy right there. Well done. I love that comment. Smash the like button for that comment. Test cricket, can't wait for the proper format to start. Let me just get to some of your comments at the bottom, guys, because we already hit over an hour. Justin says people should stop making Brevis an opener. He scored most of his runs at number 3. Number 3 should bat at number 3. Tex says, Khalid, we need a player like Otto Horman. Burbik says, makes me realize how good Kwani is. Hard to replace such a talent. It is. Justin says, clearly not an opener. Rizwan says, name upcoming South African 3 fast bowlers who bowl 145 plus, same as Kutsia. The ones that I know of are Nandre Berger. He bowls 140s, definitely. Corbin Bosch does, but the accuracy and consistency is not necessarily there. Kwena Mapaka is close to that. Matthew Post is close to that. Who else that I can think of off the top of my head? I mean, I know Liefentans is fast, but he's been so injured. So he was injured so many times in the last 2 3 years of his career. It's yeah. Ethan Bosch does not bowl 145. Ethan bowls 120s, 130s, early 130s. Yeah, but Pavuma should not be part of T20 squad. I don't think he should either. Joshua Stevenson, Nandeberger. Joshua Stevenson. Josh Stevenson is not playing cricket at the moment. He is busy with, I think, medicine, which is a shame. But I can only think of Nandeberger. I've named him now. Rob might have select Pavuma for T20 World Cup next year. I don't think he will. Is Klaasen and David Miller going to play next World Cup T27? We'll have to wait and see for that. Stephen Tate is one. Michael Pretorius is one. Khalid, will we see similar pictures for India Test Series like 2021? From what I've seen so far, the wickets are looking a lot better than 2021. Um, so I'm hoping that they're going to remain this way. It's been a lot more conducive for batting. Newlands has definitely been quite good for batting, also, but also there's been enough in it for the bowlers to create a contest. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos. Thank you for the super chats, Neil Govender. I really appreciate it. It really keeps us going here at the channel. All those support, the super stickers, the super chats. That really means a lot to us, and it really keeps us going with regards to what we are doing here. So thanks a lot for that support. I want you guys to please download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. The latest issue was on BMT. You can compare what articles were written in there to what you saw from Australia and see how much matches up. But go ahead and check that out. It's very important that you guys do so. If you want to improve your knowledge on cricket, you want to learn more about the game, get some exclusive content and insight on this game that we all love, the magazine is for you. That's why we created. We put a hell of a lot of work in it. So please go ahead and download it. It's 100% free. Like every single issue. No catch, guys. Straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in and asking your questions, etc. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out.